Now on the CTV News at 5, Canada faces a tariff increase from the United States.
It's not a good time for us.
How the changes could impact farmers and the local agriculture sector. Plus, temperatures are heating up.
It's actually life or death when someone doesn't have the ability to get out of the heat.
How Lethbridge nonprofits are offering support for those in need. And in sports, Southern Alberta's best dragon boaters are now amongst the very best in the world.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge
with Mark Villani.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. The United States is ramping up its tariff on Canadian goods to 35% after the deadline for a new trade deal has passed. Now there's questions on what the impact of these tariffs might look like in southern Alberta. Quinn Keenan has more.
Non-CUSMA compliant goods now face a 35% tariff to enter the United States. Estimates say anywhere from 80 to 90% of goods could be covered by this deal. Small or medium-sized businesses may have a harder time becoming CUSMA compliant, but the Lethbridge Chamber of Commerce is able to certify goods to help them meet the requirements. In a statement, Chamber of Commerce CEO Cindy Crane said, "We are committed to helping our businesses stay resilient and competitive in this evolving trade landscape." There's concern over what the increased tariffs could mean for the agriculture sector. With southern Alberta's harvest starting in a couple weeks, some worry about this latest trade wrinkle.
It's not a good time for us because harvest is going to start, in the next couple weeks for us, and it's going to continue on for the next month or two. It's just one of those things we have no control over it. It's something like the weather.
Farmers who export to the United States will have to check their contracts. The details in these deals could affect tariffs on producers and importers.
If you own the product going across the border and they pick it up and take ownership after the border, then he said, we're stuck with the tariffs. If they buy it and it's their product going to the States, then they're stuck with the tariffs.
Danielle Smith has called out President Trump. She's happy CUSMA goods are still protected, but frustrated by the increased tariffs. In a statement, the Premier said these tariffs hurt both Canadian and American businesses and workers, and they only weaken one of the most important trade and security alliances in the world. The United States had given Mexico the same deadline for a new deal before giving a 90-day extension. Negotiations between Canada and the United States are ongoing. Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Lethbridge.
In more tariff news, global markets are down today following the U.S. president's latest tariff hikes on countries around the world, including Canada. And like you heard, we have a 35% tariff on all goods going to the U.S. that are not compliant with the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. The U.S. says goods shipped to evade the new tariffs will be subject to a transshipment levy of 40%. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's disappointed by Trump's decision. He says negotiations with the U.S. will continue, adding that the Canadian government is laser focused on building a Canada Strong initiative. Experts believe these new tariffs are a negotiating tactic as the U.S. struggles to strike new trade deals with countries.
He does implement and does pull back. And he does threaten and then pull back. And I know we don't want to always rely on that, especially in circumstances where the growth of the Canadian economy is at stake. But I do think this is all part of the negotiation process.
In his statement, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Canada must stand its ground, adding control of our economic future requires breaking our dependence on the United States. A Coutts border blockade protester will serve a 2-year sentence at home after court proceedings wrapped up this week. Evan Colnut previously pled guilty to a firearms offense and will now begin serving his time, which will include 16 months on house arrest conditions and the final 8 months on a curfew. In January and February 2022, protesters blockaded the Alberta-Montana Coutts border crossing, demanding the government lift all pandemic-related restrictions and vaccine mandates. Colnut at the time was one of at least 15 people charged when RCMP officers executed search warrants, seizing 3 firearms and 5,000 rounds of ammunition and body armor. Gina is in now with weather. It looks like it's going to be plenty of rain this long weekend.
Yeah, and a very colorful setup right now on our watches and warnings board. Nothing, though, in the Lethbridge area. We do see those heat warnings just to the north of us. But again, we're pretty unimpacted thus far in the extreme south. Now, that could change later today. If any watches and warnings pop up, it'll likely be thunderstorm related because we do have quite a few cells tracking up through the states into southern Alberta currently. So that's what we'll be keeping our eye on tonight, dropping down to 15 degrees. And Mark, like you mentioned, tomorrow PM thunderstorm risk possible as well. Cool things off a little bit, a little below seasonal at 23 degrees. We'll have more on that long weekend forecast coming up.
Thanks, Gina. Lethbridge fire crews were kept busy this morning responding to an apartment fire. It happened around 9 this morning at the Flameborough Gardens apartment building along Ashgrove Road South. Crews on scene say no one was hurt and the fire was contained to the room of origin damage. That is estimated at around $500,000. Now, the cause of this fire is deemed to be accidental at this time. With the long weekend here, many will be heading outdoors to enjoy the sunshine and summer heat. But as Carson Marsouk reports, the warm temperatures are coming with a reminder to stay safe and to watch for those around you.
It's one of the hottest items of the summer for the vulnerable population at the Interfaith Food Bank, water.
It's actually life or death. When someone doesn't have the ability to get out of the heat, we obviously have heat emergencies and things that can happen to you physically. But I think one of the other things that we often forget about is that bottle of water is actually a lot of relief to an individual.
Well, this year's citywide water drive has distributed over 36,000 bottles of water. More is needed. With the long weekend underway and the hottest month of the summer now here, Daniel McIntyre says the demand has outpaced the supply.
It's also been a different summer. We haven't had that dry heat for long spells. There's been a lot of rain in between, which hasn't made us feel as hot because we have had those reprieves. But for someone who isn't able to get out of the sun, it is definitely going to be a struggle.
And that fluctuating forecast has been challenging for firefighters to predict the fire risk.
The rain hits, and if we get our normal winds, it doesn't even have a chance for that moisture to soak into the ground and do any good. It just dries up so quickly. So unfortunately, it could look very green, but the deadfall that's underneath that green grass, that's the risk. That's what can burn. So that's what we're monitoring, and that's what gives us our levels if we have to put it on.
There currently is no fire ban for the city, but the fire department is reminding residents to be safe through the long weekend if you have a fire.
Pay attention to what you're doing. We have had the odd smoldering fires that people have left. That's one of the biggest risks we have to watch. So just make sure your fire's out. So as we always say to people, you soak it, you stir it, you soak it again.
Whether it's fire conditions or heat safety, forecasters say the month of August is looking to see above normal temperatures.
For the month of August is a generally drier note for southern Alberta, so that doesn't mean that it is going to be dry every day, but our monthly totals, we are picking up that drier than normal trend, which could mean some lower levels of precipitation.
Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Now, as for the citywide water drive, organizers are asking for the community's help to collect bottled water throughout the month. Donations can be made either to the food bank, to either food bank, with the bottled water being distributed to different outreach organizations throughout the city. Well, Alberta RCMP and Lethbridge Police are reminding drivers to stay safe this long weekend, to plan ahead and take extra precautions on busy roadways. Police urge drivers to arrange a safe ride to their destination and not to drive impaired. This includes both alcohol and drugs, which can severely impact judgment, coordination, and reaction time. Drivers are also being asked to avoid all distractions like texting or using handheld devices. It's also a good idea to let people know where you're going. Some driving instructors say following these simple tips could save lives.
Some of the priorities is kind of being proactive before you go. Make certain your vehicle's safe. Do a walk around on it, check your fluids, check your tire levels. Especially if you have a trailer, check your tire levels, make certain your trailer has been serviced before you head out. And plan your drive and realize everybody else is wanting a vacation as well. Think about others, don't be in a rush.
Latest stats from the province show that there were 993 crashes during the August long weekend back in 2023. 46 people sustained major injuries back then. 7 people were killed. Just another reminder to take your time, drive safe this weekend. This year's Heritage Day Festival in Lethbridge is all set to take place at Henderson Lake Park on Monday. It's the longest running event for the association. The free festival will feature cultural heritage events, food vendors, live entertainment, children's activities, and more. Organizers say the day is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the diverse cultural traditions that shape our identity. Heritage Day is set to run from noon to 6 on Monday. Now, speaking of that holiday Monday, there are several closures to be aware of in the city of Lethbridge. City Hall will be closed, along with the in-person Lethbridge 311 Contact Center, the Waste and Recycling Center, Community Animal Services, and Lethbridge Animal Shelter will also be shut down for the day. The Access a Ride booking and customer service also closed, along with Lethbridge Transit Customer Service, as well as the Galt Museum and all branches of the Lethbridge Public Library. Now, as for what's open, transit will still run, but on a Sunday level service schedule. Fort Whoop-Up also still a fun option for the kids too for Heritage Day at the Fort, and the Helen Schuler Nature Center still up and running from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Well, if you pay a membership fee at a medical clinic, you could be getting better care. That's according to a new provincial audit. More details on that story coming up in Medical Watch.
Welcome back. Southwest facing shot here through our Skywatch weather cameras. Starting to see a bit more of those cumulonimbus, those puffy clouds start to work their way over the foothills and into parts of southern Alberta here. So we are monitoring the risk for thunderstorms throughout the evening. We're sitting at 27 degrees right now, aiming for a high of 28. That puts us 2 degrees above seasonal for this time of year, with the usual high at 26. And of course, we're seeing a lot happen on this watches and warnings board. So far, Lethbridge and the surrounding area are not impacted, but like I mentioned earlier, there is the potential that later tonight we could see some thunderstorm watches and warnings move in. You can see a lot of convection tracking from the states and really following along the mountains right now. But when we just extend this a bit more, there is that potential that a lot of this could drift into the more central part of the south here. And just take a look at what's going on over in Saskatchewan. They're a pretty severe cell underway. So when this storm moves in, when these isolated thunderstorm cells start to track towards Lethbridge, they do have the potential to be quite severe, even though they are isolated. So something, again, to monitor tonight. And then when we take a look at Saturday, the gray you're seeing here, that's a minor risk category for what active weather is underway for tomorrow. So Lethbridge could see winds at around 70 kilometers an hour when these storm cells, if they move through, that's what they could produce from a wind speed standpoint, could drop 25 millimeters of rain as well. We're not in that moderate risk though, so we won't worry about that, but definitely just keep an eye to the sky, especially if you have outdoor plans this weekend. Our models here are a little bit varied with what we could see throughout Saturday and Sunday. So you do see a lot of cloud coverage over Lethbridge, and you see surrounding the city these pockets of rain and those embedded thunderstorm cells, but nothing quite just directly in Lethbridge's path there. These are models, though, so of course they're approximating what could happen, so the potential is there really throughout all of southern Alberta. Precipitation throughout the weekend, this model extending to about Monday morning, only suggesting 5 millimeters. So if this all lines up, it looks like nothing too severe tracking right into Lethbridge, but just to the north of us in Claresholm there, that could be a different story. It looks like they could see a bit more significant rainfall, up to 25 millimeters. Models change though, just take it as a tool and keep it in mind if you're outdoors this long weekend. Like I mentioned, down to 16 degrees in the East Kootenay tonight, and then 24 degrees tomorrow with that thunderstorm risk really for the next 24 hours at least. Obviously closer to the foothills, same story, down to 15 tonight in the Crow's Nest Pass and 23 tomorrow. And then if you're joining us in Medicine Hat, again, pretty similar setup. 17 degrees with a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, up to 26 degrees for your high. Let's take a look at that long weekend forecast for Lethbridge here. Temperatures start to cool a little bit on Saturday and Sunday, below seasonal, but still within the seasonal range. Thunderstorm risk really just carries through right till about Tuesday there, but the temperatures do start to rally on that holiday Monday.
A familiar space at the University of Lethbridge is set to be transformed into the new Southern Alberta Medical Program facility. Design from Dialogue has been chosen to recreate the Community Center for Wellbeing into a new educational and clinical facility. The program, which opened admissions earlier this week, will allow students to earn a University of Calgary medical degree while finishing their training in Lethbridge. The planning and design phases are underway, with renovation work of more than 5,000 square feet anticipated to start soon. The facility is planned to open in July 2027. Well, patients paying membership fees at medical clinics get more thorough care. That's according to an audit done by the provincial government. The province launched the audit in 2023 following complaints about fees at some medical clinics. The audit reviewed 13 clinics. It found no significant cases of patients paying out of pocket for covered medical treatment. However, patients paying annual fees got longer and more comprehensive appointments than non-members. Membership clinics averaged 232 new patients per physician, while doctors in public clinics have an average of 965. The report recommends the province better regulate membership medical clinics and address gray areas where patients get insured and uninsured services during the same appointment. Alberta is starting off the month of August with an additional 12 new measles cases. Here's a look at the latest numbers. 6 of these cases were added in the north zone, 3 in Edmonton, and another 3 in the south zone. According to the province, there are still 16 active cases in Alberta, but some good news in that no one is hospitalized at this time. A Victoria woman is now able to see her loved ones' faces and take in the sights of her city 11 years after going blind. It's all thanks to a rare procedure called tooth-in-eye surgery. CTV's Anna McMillan now with more on this story, and a warning, there are some medical images you're about to see.
It's a miracle.
The miracle of sight after 11 years without it.
When I compare it to, being blind, it's pretty fantastic.
Good for you, Gail.
No, good for you. Thank you.
Gail Lane is thanking the doctor who performed the surgery that restored her vision.
It wasn't take off the bandages and, oh my God, I can see. It was gradual.
The 75-year-old Victoria woman says it started with light and movement, and now she can see her loved ones' faces, including her partner Phil, who was blind, and his guide dog.
They were kind of frozen in time for the last decade for me, so they were more afraid of me seeing them than I am of seeing myself.
An autoimmune disorder stole Lane's sight in 2014. We last spoke to her in March after she'd undergone the first of 2 surgeries to get it back.
It's very science fiction-y in my mind.
The procedure is called tooth-in-eye surgery. Doctors in Vancouver removed one of Lane's teeth, fixed it with a lens, and sewed it inside her cheek, where it grew connective tissue for 3 months. During stage 2 in May, the tooth was attached to the front of her eye to replace her damaged cornea.
It's one of the best feelings in medicine that you can have as a surgeon.
Lane is the first of 3 people to have the surgery in Canada.
To see them go from total dependence back into independence it's highly emotional for all of the staff who are looking after them, and it's thrilling for us.
Dr. Greg Maloney says the operations are part of a pilot project.
We're still working to establish the program as a funded ongoing service in Canada.
If that happens, he says the surgical team will be able to help more people like Gail.
What a feeling to be able to get any amount of sight back. The more the better, of course, but after having been blind, to be able to see anything is a wonderful thing.
Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
Still ahead, Southern Alberta's best dragon boaters are now amongst the best in the world. We tell you how these athletes fared at the World Championships in Germany, coming up in sports. A group of Southern Alberta dragon boat racers are proving they're amongst the very best in the entire world. 10 competitors from the Dragon Boat Association of Southern Alberta just won over 30 medals at the IDBF World Dragon Boat Racing Championships in Germany. Coach Karen Johnson says she's incredibly proud of her paddlers and all of their hard work that's now paid off on the world stage. Here's a look at the athletes who medaled in Germany. They include in the 18 and under category, Madison Kissinger, Kylie Marshall, Sierra Smith, Ella Veyu, and Bobby Zhao. And in the 24 and under category, Mia Shalme. Senior competitor Linda Kloshinsky and para-competitors Darrow Califoot, Nicole Schmidt and Dace Sevkuna. A big congratulations to them all. Now for a look at last night's WCBL action. The Lethbridge Bulls got a huge 4-2 win over the Sylvan Lake Gulls. That puts the two teams in a tie for second in the West. Medicine Hat beat last place Swift Current 7-1, and the Brooks Bombers beat the Fort McMurray Giants to move a half game back of the final playoff spot in the West. Tonight, the Bulls will rematch with the Gulls on the road with big seeding implications on the line. The Mavericks hit the road to take on the Weyburn Beavers. The Brooks Bombers could move into the final playoff spot with another win over the Giants. All games start at 7:05. Over to some local hockey news now. A member of the Blood Tribe is being named as the next assistant coach for the Vancouver Giants of the Western Hockey League. Wasey Rabbit is taking on the new position after serving as an assistant with the Saskatoon Blades for the past 3 seasons. During that time, he's been able to help the club secure 2 100-point seasons, along with back-to-back trips to the Eastern Conference Finals. Rabbit also played a key role for the Giants as a player back in 2007 when he won the Memorial Cup. In other staffing changes, the Brooks Bandits are adding Cole McCaig into the fold as the club's new assistant coach. McCaig joins the Bandits following 7 seasons as the assistant bench boss for the Flin Flon Bombers of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. During that tenure, he led Flin Flon to the playoffs 6 times, including 2 trips to the SJHL Finals and a quarterfinal appearance in the 2022 Centennial Cup. Still ahead, an Alberta artist is set to have his work featured across the country. Why this fast food restaurant selected his work as part of a major campaign. Artwork created by a man in Red Deer will be featured at McDonald's locations across the country. Richard C. is one of 17 McDonald's employees chosen as part of the Made at McDonald's campaign. His painting, Quality, will be featured on tray maps and billboards. C. has worked at McDonald's for more than 3 decades, but used to work in fine arts in the Philippines before moving to Canada in 2023.
I'm very happy because I did not expect this one. When I was in high school, I joined different competition when it comes to art, but I never won any single competition.
C has been an artist for close to 40 years and says it doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop. Pop star Chappell Roan is out with a new song that includes mention of a Canadian province.
I'm moving to Saskatchewan. It's just
The song is called The Subway, and the video features New York City Transit. Roan first performed the single at a music festival a year ago. At the time, fans noticed the mention of Saskatchewan. According to the lyrics, that's where the singer joked she plans to move if she can't get over her ex. A playful nod to the Prairie Province. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time we have for tonight. Have a wonderful long weekend. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.